Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Zoom Into Wine. It's time for the show and your host, Ian Blackburn.
I love to dance around the entire planet with our Zooms. We'll cover future content, but Tuscany, which I've visited many times, is ubiquitous for fine wine and wine culture. Just throw down just a couple of facts that are fun to be able to whip out at a dinner party, and get to throw some things around. First of all, the primary grape in Tuscany is a grape called Sangiovese, and often referred to as the blood of Jupiter. And in fact, that's where the word Sangiovese gets its name. It's Latin, sanguis jovius, and the blood of Jupiter. And Tuscany's had some very notable wines, some of which we're going to be covering tonight. Things like Chianti, Vino Nobile del Montepulciano. We're going to have some Brunello del Montalcino. We'll also have the Rosso del Montalcino. We're going to have a couple of super Tuscans. We're going to talk about that category as well. It's all red wine tonight. And so we love to get together. We're going to taste 6 wines. They're delicious. They're fun. They're great. A couple more fun facts. Did you know that Italy produces 20% of global wine production? That's 40 to 50 million hectoliters. A little quick math, that's somewhere between 700 and 750 million cases of wine just for the country of Italy. Inside of Tuscany, that's about 2.6 million hectoliters, about 25 to 30 million cases. So quite a bit of wine coming from Italy. Not all of it coming from Tuscany, but people think of Chianti as being a huge percentage. It's actually, maybe less than 10%. So it's not as big as some people may think. These wines age beautifully, and I don't care what price point you're shopping at, but Tuscany can be a lot of fun. We're going to cover a broad set of prices tonight. They are delicious, they age well, and I actually really am bullish about Tuscan wine at this moment. I think Tuscany has really responded to the world's needs. I think they lead the world in ideas such as biodynamics, organic, making low intervention wines. They're very terroir specific, and they're delicious. So let's get back into our slideshow. Let's start tasting some of this wine. I am ready for my first sip. Of course, my Dodgers lost today in a game they should have won, 4-3. Shohei pitched a beautiful 6th inning shutout, or close to, maybe it was 1 run, and the bullpen gave up the ghost. So unfortunately, that's baseball. Let's start off with a little Nobile from a very respected brand called Avignonesi. This is from the 2000 vintage. We're in Montepulciano. This is Vino Nobile de Montepulciano. Not to be confused, because it's very easy to confuse things with all that Italian going around. But take a look at the neighbor over here, Montalcino. You got Montepulciano, Montalcino. They're different. They're different neighborhoods. I jokingly compare that to the difference of like Bel Air and Culver City in Los Angeles. The Montalcino is a little bit more Bel Air. Montalcino a little bit more Culver City. They're probably these two towns are probably not quite as close as those two, but you get the idea. And so the wines that come out of Montepulciano are beautiful, they're classic, and they carry a great value. The wine that we're going to taste tonight from Avignonesi comes from a couple. They are shipping magnates. Now, they did not start this winery, but they did buy it. Whether they are happy about that now or not would be an interesting question to ask them, because Avignonesi is a really respected brand. It was when they bought it. And they've done everything under their power to only elevate the category, elevate the brand. But that doesn't mean you get to start charging more. There are some wines in Italy that are fairly commoditized. And Montepulciano is one of those. And so was Chianti, and so maybe was every wine. If there's too much of it, it becomes commoditized, and you don't get to take prices up. And so they're suffering a little bit because they bought the winery thinking they could elevate a little bit. And if anything, even with all the inflation, the prices of these wines continue to have slightly downward pressure. So a little difficult. But they have taken the property 100% regenerative. That is the buzzword today, not organic. Organic is so 1985, 1990 maybe. Biodynamic, that was kind of a 2005 term. Sustainability, that's more like 2015. Here we are, 2025. The term now is regenerative wine estate. They're not just sustaining, but they're regenerating the quality of the soil, the city that they live in. They're helping regenerate, protect, preserve, honor the water, the power, the labor, all that stuff. Regenerative farming, a very high ethos in farming. 440 acres. That is a very large commitment of vines. And they do farm organic, biodynamic, and vegan. They do all those practices, but they are the largest regenerative wine estate in all of Italy. That is like the statement you want to hang your hat on. So we already got a comment from our friend Tom. I'm glad you think the Montepulciano is charming. It is a charming estate. Look at that. That's what we're looking at. That's what 444 acres looks like. And those hills formations have a lot in common with Culver City. 100% Sangiovese. Interesting. That is not necessarily the requirement of this area. They can grow a grape called Pronto Gentile that can be part of the blend in this part of the area, in this region. So it's usually a blend, maybe 5, 10, 15% Pronto Gentile and some Sangiovese for sure. But here, this wine note says 100% Sangiovese. I'll live and die by that. Sangiovese, we're going to learn a lot about it today. I think almost all the wines that we're going to taste either have some or are entirely based in this grape variety. Realize that this grape variety does change based on where it's grown, the heat, the sun, the thickness of its skins, the length of the rachis, the smallness of the berries, the largeness of the berries, all depend on the soils that this fruit is grown in. I have been to parts of Chianti that can produce a significant amount of fruit per hectare. In these growing zones, they do have limits on the amount per hectare, and they also kind of look over, ripeness, how much alcohol, that kind of stuff. But this is a very much a farm-made wine. Here's our couple, Virgin and Max. And James Huckling gave this wine 94 points. I'm going to read it off of the website to make sure we got the correct review up there. But check out this beautiful part of the vineyard that is kind of the signature of the property. You can see it from the sky. Here we go. $26.95 for this. Only a few bottles left of this vintage, and we're down to one bottle now. So if you like this wine, we are rolling into the next vintage. It should be available on the website, but this is the 2020, and I believe we now have the 23. A bright and vivid Vino Nobile with cherry, violet, hibiscus aromas and hints of peach and lemon to follow through the medium body. There are fine integrated tannins, a vivid finish, and lots of energy. Biodynamically grown grapes, vegan, needs a year or two to show its true excellence, but already a beautiful and linear wine. Let's take a look. Tom, I'm glad you liked it. Don't usually see references to things like peach and lemon in a red wine. In the glass, the 2020 shows garnet reflections on the nose. It offers aromas of small red fruits, pomegranate, unmistakable violet scents of good Sangiovese, unmistakable violet. So let's remember that when we taste futures here. Touch of vanilla and tomato leaf. Those are comments that I would make. A palate is well balanced, sweet notes, ripe cherries, plum, jam, supported by precise and elegant tannins. This is a very approachable. I think it's in a really good spot here in year 5 or 6 of this wine. It's kind of into its 5.5. And I love wines of Tuscany with that much age on them. Here are some of the others that we carry from Avignonesi. We have the Diserno from 2016, which is a Merlot blend from them, and the Rosso de Montepulciano, Rosso de Montepulciano 2022, coming in just light of $20. I do think that the 23 is just north of $30, so it has had some price increase, but that's mostly due to tariff. Hope you guys enjoyed wine number 1.
Hey, Ian, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Sorry, you said the next vintage was 23. Do they declare a vintage of Vino Nobile every year, or is that just the next vintage that you bought?
That was the next vintage that we bought.
Yeah. Okay.
And honestly, I'm sure that they have had years where they weren't able to make Nobile. Maybe not recently, not that I know of. The vintages have been pretty consistent, and in fact it's 2022 that we've got in the store. So the Avignonesi 2022 Vino Nobile de Montepulciano. All right. So this is a wine that they do elevate, 440 acre estate, unless there's some sort of tragic vintage reputation, which we haven't had in a while. We've had good vintages, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 might be one of the greatest ever. 22, there's some awesome wines that score even better in 22 than 21. So we haven't seen any kind of tragic thing, and maybe that's even kind of a problem for Italy because of all of their supply. Maybe a tough vintage would help rectify some of that for the marketplace. Stephanie's having hers with some carnitas. Awesome. Vegan and carnitas is that's a very good combination there, Stephanie. I like it. You and Dave enjoy. Dave's a great chef, we know. All right. we are moving in to wine number 2. This is from an old friend of mine. This is Tenute Silvio Nardi, Emilia Nardi, the daughter of Silvio Nardi, is my friend. She is now in full retirement. Congratulations to her. This is a great producer of Rosso. We bought the 21. The current vintage is probably 22. But I bought a heavy dose of 21 because it was one of the best vintages of all time for Montalcino. Those 21 wines should be hitting our shores now and coming into stock. But Montalcino's got quite a few great vintages in front of it. 2019 was incredible. And then in 2016 behind that. 17, 18, just fine, not terrible. But really the high watermarks were kind of 15, 16, 19, 21 for Montalcino. The Rossos, what they can do is they can make more Montalcino in a great vintage. They'll make more Rosso in a tougher vintage. So Rossos can also be pretty rewarding in non-great vintages. And also some of the Rosso fruit that they're singling out to be Rossos from younger vines. And they're never going to put that in a Brunello. They're going to maintain the reputation of their house, but they can easily blend down. So anyway, we've got a couple of winemakers here working for Silvio Nardi, Emilia's father. Emilia's been running the state since 1985, and like I said, she went into full retirement this year. Her daughter is now in place in the operation, and they maintain 80 hectares, about 175 acres of planted vines. And if you've never been to Montalcino, it is not as close as I was talking about, like Bel Air and Culver City. Montalcino looks close on a map. It's deceptively long and far away through some beautiful drive, lots of shrub, lots of farmland. It's not all vineyards. You kind of arrive to this amazing hillside, almost mountainous. These are pretty steep hills that they grow the Sangiovese on. And that's what kind of defines Montalcino, are these high elevation hillsides that really change the grape. Because in Montepulciano and in Chianti, they don't have elevation. And so you got kind of a much richer flat land with some hills, some undulations, and it's all crazy soil with incredible rocky minerality. There's no bad soil in Italy, but when you start applying elevation, you thin the soil beds, you make the vines work harder, and all of a sudden the production gets smaller, the berry size gets smaller, and things get amplified. These wines by law are 100% Sangiovese, and they use a variety known as Sangiovese Grosso in Montalcino. As we talked about, Sangiovese, cherry, spicy, tobacco. This is 91 points. There's a look at our winemaker. That name sounds French to me. Boissonneau. The nose is beautiful. I hope you guys can appreciate already how close these two wines are. The first one was a 2020. This is a 21. The noses are significantly different. You went from something very farm, very natural, very organic, has some earthiness to something that smells like it's growing off the top of a boulder. This is really distinctive. There's a little bit more ripeness, perhaps punching through here. This wine smells like a freaking Brunello. We're at $27.95. Now, we just had, and I'm going to talk about this wine a little bit deeper, but I just want to plant the seed right now. These first two wines are a bit of a problem for Chianti. The fun, soft, lovely, almost savory characters in wine number one. That's a great deal, $25. Like I said, it's kind of been price trapped between $25 and $30 now. Chianti kind of gets right up to it, tries to punch through. Some have leaped into the 30s, $40. Some of the higher tier efforts really starting to separate the field. But a lot of Chianti has been pressed down to be underneath these wines from a price point because there's a lot of supply. Now, there is not a ton of supply of Rosso di Montalcino. And this wine has been elevating. And I think in years to come, a good Rosso, you should be thinking $30 to $40. And they're taking their Rosso production very seriously. Let's get into this glass, see what you think. The nose, I think, is outstanding. A little bit more of the espresso, not as much of that leafiness or vegetative tomato plant. No. You can smell the extreme stone, the extreme tannins are almost part of the nose of this wine. When I smell this wine, my mouth starts to salivate, and I always think, okay, this wine's making me salivate because I'm about to put something in my mouth that's going to directly impact my tongue. There's going to be tannins here. They're going to beat it up like a baseball bat. I'm telling you, I think in a blind tasting with experts, they might think this is Brunello. It's got some good age. It's still tightly round. If I'm going to be critical, the expert would pay real close attention to the intensity level here. That this is nice. It's got great quality. But when we taste that Brunello later, you're going to see what I mean. The intensity is turned way up. And all these beautiful things are perfectly in balance in this wine here, showing like a rock star. This is a wine to own. It is just great. $30. Damn. I'm loving this wine even more than when I bought it. Brunellos are going to be pushing towards $100, and they are going to thrash you if you open them up too early. This one's telling me it's ready. This one's just in the right spot. Hope you like that. Thank you, Stephanie. I'm glad you like it. It's just a few of us tonight. We have a couple people out of town. They're going to watch the video later. I'm making this video for our archives. But we are very happy to have such a great audience helping us taste these wines and buying your favorites after the show. Here we go. We're moving into wine number 3. We just had Vino Nobile di Montepulciano, some Rosso de Montalcino, and now a Chianti Classico. And I want to get you excited about this brand as much as I want to get you excited about Chianti Classico. There is a map showing you the Chianti zone. It is quite large, and there's a lot of outer areas here. You got Chianti Rufina, the Colli Florentini, Chianti Classico, Colli Sanisi, and all this area could be blended in to make a simple Chianti. But you can only call it Chianti Classico when it's from Chianti Classico. Does not mean it's a classic Chianti. It is the name of the place. And then there's Chianti Classico Reserva, which they elevate to a higher level, and it has some time requirements, and those are important to realize. Here's our winemaker. This land was originally purchased by Silvio's father in the 1960s. He liked the property. Silvio, his son, I think Silvio's father only sold the grapes. Maybe they made some wine, but it wasn't anything too important. Mr. Messina has taken this wine up in quality drastically. Montesecondo, the brand itself, was founded in 2000, and it's teeny, 10 hectares, 25 acres of vines, 100% biodynamic. This is a wine that is brought in by an importer that's got very high ethos. They're looking for biodynamic and very natural path wines. And they introduced me to this a couple of years ago. I've been buying a lot of their different cuvées. This is the first year I bought the Chianti Classico. I really loved it, and I wanted to increase my participation in what we own from this brand. There's a look at the property. I also believe that we are in a moment that finally Chianti Classico will start to lift. We saw just too much wine coming into America, too much wine being made. A lot of corrections have been taking place. People are elevating their quality of their winemaking, the quality of their grape growing, the quality of what they're putting in the bottle. And here's the biggest deal. They're elevating their own expectations for what they're going to sell this wine for, because for generations, they were willing to sell it to whatever the market would give them. And nowadays, they've got importers, and they're like, hey, we are not going to make this wine at any less than this price. And they're getting these agreements in place, and they're repositioning themselves, and they're coming into the top restaurants, and the restaurants are saying, wow, I'm willing to pay for that wine because it's worth it. This wine is a blend of Sangiovese, and by the way, in the year 2000, they created some very strong legislative changes to the Chianti production rules. Chianti 2000, that's the rules that we're following now, meant that the wine had to be at least 90% Sangiovese. That rule never existed before. And in fact, there were Chiantis that were made with all types of different wine grapes, and they didn't care as long as it had this, that, and the other thing in there. And in fact, there was a time where Chianti had to have all 8 Italian grape varieties from Tuscany in the wine, and that was red and white grape varieties. So that really suffered the quality. The quality really suffered because it had there was nothing pointing this category towards Chianti except for the place itself. And Chianti 2000 came in and improved that, focused the varietal composition, gave it meaning, gave it structure, and we've only been going up ever since then. And the quality cuts have been being made slowly but surely. There's a picture of Silvio. This is a 92-point wine via Vinous, great reviewer of Italian wines. I'm looking for some notes. Don't see many there. Let me read it from the slide. Okay, that is what a Chianti vineyard looks like, especially one that's organic or biodynamic. You're going to have flowers, you're going to have weeds, you're going to have rocks, you're going to have, vines that are being really highly looked after, but they're not, they're trying to be protective. They're not going to use any type of herbicides or pesticides. They may be only spraying teas, biodynamic teas that are made from cow manure, cows that are being grown in the area. They bury it in cow horns. They harden it in the cow horns, and then they turn it into tea and they spray that to help the vineyard health. These are old practices that have been being tested out, and things are really showing that this type of technique works when you work the vineyard well. And the most important mark in a vineyard that is grown biodynamic is the footprint of the winemaker who's walking through that vineyard and tending to it almost daily. Let's take a look at what's in the glass. We're elevating again. We're now up to $34. I hope you taste this wine and you're like, now I can see that value progression. A little bit of almost like a maraschino cherry orange peel. As Stephanie would say, that is lovely. That's a Stephanie quote. Right, Dave? I really think it's a charming wine and beautifully done in the Chianti set. This also carries very high ethos. I'm not real impressed with that review. 2022 Chianti Classico is a powerful wine, one that marries the intensity of the year with the translucent energy that is such a signature here. Readers will have to be patient, as this is far away from an easygoing Chianti Classico. Time in the glass releases the aromatics somewhat, but the 2022 is in no mood to show all of its cards. It's it is easily one of the most reticent wines of the vintage. So they didn't talk about anything that they're smelling or tasting or feeling. They just kind of told you this wine's a little bit more locked down. And I think the wine shows quite a bit of charm and personality. That cherry, that orange peel, and some really healthy fruit, powerful and persistent. So here's what happens. You go into a great Italian restaurant in Los Angeles, which these wines now decorate almost all the top restaurants in LA, the top Italian restaurants. You're not going to go into a top Italian restaurant in LA and see grocery store Chianti anymore. This is probably a contender for a wine by the glass. This is probably on the list. They're especially at the hipster Italian restaurants. Whew, this is fire. And they eat at that restaurant and they come out and they look online, and we are one of the few places that have this up and coming, highly trending, teeny boutique producer of Chianti Classico. And I love that about this wine. I love the bottle that's elevated. It's got the mark of the brand across the bottom. I like the label. I like the wine. and I like the price. I think it represents a very fair value. And if you want to see all of our selections in Chianti, which are numerous, there's a couple ways to do that. You could go up into the corner, hit the little Q, put in Chianti. And I've worked hard to make sure our website has a really balanced selection of top efforts. This one is a family that I've worked for 10 years. You're going to find this Chianti in a lot of places. It's pretty ubiquitous, in all the top chain restaurants as well. Nozzoli, great producer, great friend. Giovanni Folinari, owner. Antinori, important. Antinori, this is their best, by the way. Badia Apasiano, $60+ Chianti. Kirsiabella, really top house, owned by and imported by Roeder Champagne, around $37. A teeny producer, Bindi Serengardi. We've got their Gran Selezione at $75. We've got the Montesecondo coming in around $34. We got their higher tier Montesecondo. This is called Tin, and this is a elevated selection from the vintage 2020. Wow, 15 more bucks. You get a little bit, maybe a lot more even. And then wine that I cry for is the Monterapone. This is $130 Chianti, meant to compete with the greatest wines in the world. And then you have some others. This one we're going to taste a little bit later, Capogatto, and wines that are grown in the Chianti zone. But that gives you kind of a look at the strata, 20, 30, 40, 70. Those are in 120. These are the wines of the Chianti zone that I carry. Next week, I'm doing a complimentary Zoom, and I'm so thrilled to see how many people are signing up to join us next week. We're going to be talking about how to build your wine collection, and I'm really putting a lot of effort into this. I'm going to create a companion booklet to go with our discussion. It'll be emailed out to those that participate after the event. And this is just like a guide that we're going to be creating, and we're going to put some effort into it. We're going to market it as something long-term, because I think people need some help in understanding some ideas, especially people that are just getting started, because there is a tendency for people to start collecting wine and they start collecting all of the same wines. And they wake up one day and their entire collection has a sameness to it. It's all from one country or one state or one grape variety, because that's what they liked. So I'm going to encourage to think a little bit more well-rounded, and to be thinking about the longevity of your cellar, so that 20, 30, 40 years into your wine collecting, you have something you're proud to either sell or allow someone to finish, or maybe you drink it out on your way. After that, we'll be studying some Greek wines. We got another guest coming in. We'll be studying some Greek wines. I have a really nice selection on April 22nd of Greeks. May 6th, I call it a taste of the strange. It is like the weirdest stuff on our website. I want to leave it at that. I want some mystery behind it. You can go and look and click on and see what we're going to be opening, but we were opening up a really wild selection of wines. These are not, I got to do it with you. I got to show you. Hold on. These are not like natural wines or anything like that. I didn't go in that direction, but I wanted to celebrate some real classics and some really interesting ideas that are being made in places like Georgia. A wine from southern Spain that you have to experience with me. It lives under Fleur. It almost has that sherry-like character in the nose, but only in the smallest amount, and hypnotic. Vito, this guy's out there. Monsan on the other side of Priorat, making the wines with his wife. These guys don't use any power. They are really like committed. Filippo Pato from Portugal. This wine is quickly becoming one of the best-selling wines on my website. Not 100% sure, who wrote this wine up or what's causing it to happen, but we're selling through it at an incredible click. El Enemigo, Cab Franc from Mendoza. This is sensational stuff, and I think Cab Franc is the next Malbec of Argentina and blowing up right now. And this is like the leader in the category. And then we'll take a road towards something really interesting that is from northern Italy with some Valpolicella Rapasso, and talk about how this wine is impacting the way wines are made all over the world. So it's really a fun selection. Thank you for letting me present it. Spanish Finds, Rosé Roundup, coming down the pipe. Let's keep going. Wine number 4. Teresa, I hope you're doing well. Enjoying the wines. We're on wine number 4. We went from Nobile de Montepulciano to Rosso de Montalcino to Chianti Classico. Now we're staying in the Chianti area, but we're with Podere, Poggio, Scalette. This is a wine called Capogatto, and they decided to stop making a lot of Chianti, and they started to make more vineyard designated wines. And they're making these inside of the Chianti zone near San Giacomo. This estate, which looks like something out of a bad spaghetti western, it started producing wine in 1991 and really got heralded for their efforts. You can see this is basically a continuation of the Chianti zone, but they do things a little differently here, and they've got some different aspirations, and they started to plant non-Sangiovese grape varieties. Merlot, Cab Sauv, Cab Franc, Petit Verdot, all in almost perfect balance because that's what they got planted in the vineyard. This is from 2017. I tasted it a couple of years ago in a Zoom. I'm representing it. See what you think. James Suckling, 94 points. And see how a 2017 is coming along. 17, it wasn't a great vintage. It wasn't a bad vintage. It was just a vintage that you would probably consider as normal now. Warm, a hot year. And it made some pretty big and explosive wines. Here's a look. You can see it's got a little bit more elevation than most. A little bit more tobacco, a little bit more development. Yeah, I would say that this wine is being developed by so many different things. It's got the fact that it's not Sangiovese, that this is Bordeaux varietals, that this is a 17, so 8 years of age. And I like where this wine is showing. If you like, more mature type of character, I think this wine has a good 5, 6, 7 years more of potential development. But it is showing some advancement. And we have a nice price. The current vintage 2023, I suspect, is somewhere around $70. This wine can sell for a super premium. I think when I bought this, the 17 was selling for $70. So I have it at a really good price, $45. If you want to take something out that's got some nice maturity, I would actually love to have this with something like some Piedmontese beef, and yeah, sure, if you want to throw down for a Florentine, absolutely. We're going to taste it next to another little super Tuscan style from a brand called Grattamacco, which I support a number of their SKUs annually. This is their least expensive. This is their Bolgheri SKU. So we have left the Chianti zone and we're over here near the ocean. And I wanted to put a wine from Bolgheri in this discussion because Bolgheri is where the super Tuscan area really started to develop. Your wines like Sassicaia was the originator of the category. They're in Bolgheri. Ornellaia, Sassicaia, Solaya. We used to have jokes about all the Aya wines. Aya meaning kind of the place of. This doesn't go there. This is just a Bolgheri Rosso. And so it's not trying to be super Tuscan, but that's kind of the category it falls into, because everything that's grown outside of Chianti has got to have a name to it, and these just fall into that super Tuscan category. Luca Moroni is a very respectable winemaker. The brand was founded in 1977, and since 2002 has been really kind of climbing the charts. I think there's a number of super Tuscan producers that people like to have on their wine list, that this is one of them. Look at that property. Beautiful ocean to the left. And these wines do get a lot of oceanic influence. They're pretty close to the ocean. Took a group to this part of the world a few years back. For lunch, we were on the ocean, and fruta de mare, one of the greatest meals of my life, and I would say that any day. I could not believe how good the lunch was. My wife is unbelievable at finding these places. The restaurant literally opened for us for lunch. They're not typically open during the week, but we brought a nice sized group, and they prepared the lunch of a lifetime. There's that composition again. This composition is similar to the last wine, but check it out. It's not 25, 25, 25. This is 30, 30, 25, 10 Sangiovese in this one, and 5 Petit Verdot. So quite a different little mix. No Sangiovese in the prior from Capogatto, but this one's going to have a little bit more freshness. 22, youthful, 96 points. Number 28, top 100 values right here. Let's see how it's doing. I bought this because every year I get an allocation, okay? And I get a little bit of the Grammatico top wine, a little bit of this and that. Almost everything sells pretty fast from this brand. This one sticks around a little longer than the rest. The high-end ones get close to 100 points. We're at 30 bucks. I wanted to put this after because this is big stuff. And I'm pretty surprised we still have so much of this wine remaining. I think I got 3 cases of it, so we're down to our last 11 bottles, but this wine should be flying through at 30 bucks. That nose is enormous, and look how dark that is. The darkness, each of those grape varieties, the Petit Verdot gives it, that is a color grape. The Cab Franc, kind of that pencil shavings. The Cab Sauv, kind of the cassis and the eucalyptus, the mint. The Merlot, a little bit of that cherry and chocolate. And so they each play a note. And Sangiovese probably there to throw in some metal, tannic character, because that's what Sangiovese has. It has this like unpenetrable tannin element to it. I can just smell this wine. I love the nose where this thing is at. It drinks like the bigger wine that got 100 and sells for over 100. It's very similar, and it's not quite as pretty. The finish is kind of a little over here, a little over there, but there are some really big pieces that they put into this wine. Delicious, gutsy, and rewarding. Hope you like that. We're going to finish strong. I'm going to see if there's any questions you guys have here before we absolutely destroy your palate. Everybody good? Any questions? Any comments, guys?
Ian, my only comment is you're on a terrific roll here. Keep it up, dude.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm enjoying it. Feels good after a tough couple days. We've been working really hard. Store's been solid. Learn About Wine still trying to find its way in this crazy moment in our country's history. Nobody really wants to pay too much attention to wine classes, but we got a lot going on. We're going to one of my all-time favorite producers. I wanted to go out with a bang. Sassetti Livio Pertimali. This is a brand I've carried in multiple vintages over the past several years. Really a hard-working brand from Montalcino. Always revered by the press. This is family owned and operated, 4 generations. Amongst the producers in Montalcino, they're going to list off who to pay attention to. This is one of those guys. Beautiful Casa. 100% Sangiovese Grosso, same as the Rosso that we tasted earlier. Pairs well with Florentina steak. wild boar, or rhinoceros. Also a possibility. Big animals. Here's a look at what the grapes look like in Montalcino. They look different. It's the same grape, the same genetic background, but it mutates in Montalcino. It becomes thicker skinned. The berry size actually a little tighter, clusters in here, whereas in Chianti you can have the berries spread out a little bit on a longer rachis. Ripens late. There's the Sassetti family. Wow, they got a lot of problems there. 2 men, 4 beautiful women. Pay attention: black plums, blackberries, sandalwood, dark chocolate, sage, bay leaves, juniper berries, blackberries, bergamot, incense, cumin, camphor, cloves, nutmeg. You don't even have to even use the word complexed, because that is a lot going on. Decidedly spicy with dark features. It shows sensorial smoothness, profound identity, and a finish of great pressing, but genuine and tasty progression. I don't understand that. But Raphael, good job. Good score. Big score. $70. If this were a brand that had a huge corporate umbrella, it was brought in by a mega company, it was marketed inside of an Italian portfolio, they would probably get $95 for this wine, because that's what everybody else is getting. It gets these kind of scores. For some reason, every time I go to order this wine, it's being brought in by another small importer, somebody else. I don't know if that's a family choice or whatever's going on over there, but if they found a company like a wine, titan to take this brand nationwide, they could elevate that price. The good news for us is they haven't done that. And so we get it at a very aggressive price, 96 points for one of the great Brunello producers. It's a solid value.
In how many years after the vintage? Remind me of when Brunello comes out. Is that 5 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got this recently then, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's brand new. I mean, I got it maybe December.
Yeah.
And 2021 is starting to come in. It's a better statistic vintage than 2020. And we're gonna see some crazy price elevations in 21. I'm already seeing them. A lot of these guys are just pricing themselves out of orbit, and so I'm picking my partners pretty carefully. In the website, we try to carry a really nice selection, especially when it comes to Brunello. Just gonna go and search Brunello on the website and see how we're looking. There's always a number of 100-pointers. This is new, $160, 2019 100-point. This thing is a unicorn. I'm lucky I got that. I'm lucky I got this. 98 points, 21. This is what all the top Italian restaurants are looking for. I've got some Poggio de Soto, which is insanely priced. Check these out. This is the regular Brunello at 330 and the Reserva at 630. I might have that 10 years from now at this rate, but we'll see. It usually goes away with one customer coming in and wanting it all. I don't have very much. Nice value from 16 in the selection. Ciro Pacente, really another one of my favorites. Oh, here we go. I got a 14 of this from this producer in stock. I think I only have one bottle left. But you could see in 2014, that wine is priced at 65. Here we are 6-7 years later, and we're at 68. So here's one for 250. Here's one for 2,000. Here's one for 199. And here's our biggest position in Brunello is, not Casanova. Where is my workhorse? This one, Altacino, $59, also great. That's a 19er, a really good one. And I think I showed that one recently, and that's why we're showing this one tonight. And I love what's going on at Castellón de Bosco. Really good producers. And 19s, I think you could start to buy, but maybe not drink the 19s yet. 2017 and before. That's where you could start to pop them open. 16 is, they're getting rarer. I just picked up kind of a late opportunity buy on a 16er. It's a Reserva as well. So got a lot of different offerings. I think this one's showing up in here by mistake, but it's being kind of compared to Sangiovese from Montesecondo is being compared, and somewhere in the review it's being compared to Brunello de Montalcino. So the search engine here I just put in the word Brunello, so that's why I pulled it in. But there's always a lot of offerings. I hope you enjoyed the one that we tasted tonight. And let me just show you a couple more slides. I've got an upcoming dinner in Santa Monica at Fig Restaurant, where we're doing a really nice high selection of Bordeaux wines. And my trip to Champagne, which I'm about to close. I have 2 spots available. If anybody wants to go to Champagne, 2 spots available. We're going to sell that out at 10 people or not. We'll go smaller, but it is a pricey trip, but we're doing it right, and we're seeing all the great producers. Upcoming trips, I'm going to Sonoma, Champagne. We've got some different dates available now on the website. Let me just show you. That slide is not super accurate because we've modified our travel calendar. Our New Zealand partner is just not working out so great, so we're changing that partner around. We've got Sonoma, Champagne, Napa, Washington in March, February, kind of early March now. New Zealand was moved out to March, April of 27. Mainly an April trip, early April. Spain is still in October, and Brunello goes up for sale soon. Barolo. Our annual, every 3 years we go to Barolo, and this trip will be sensational. Same team working with us there. That'll be something to count on. And those are the programs through 27. We're going to start posting 28 dates soon, and what we've got planned for the future. And but we're doing a little bit of domestic stuff because of everything that's going on in the world. A little trip to Sonoma, something I haven't spent much time promoting yet. but that be coming out pretty soon, right after harvest, or maybe even during October 16th to 19th. This Napa Valley trip, which we did last year, was amazing. We're going to do it again in February. Different hotel, different position, different wineries, different restaurants. Washington, Walla Walla, Red Mountain, going pretty deep in there. Just for a weekend. It's way out there. It's easy to get there, but it's pretty far out there. Those are the trips. We thank you guys for joining us tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed our little Tuscan overview. Teresa, I'm so happy that you enjoyed the wine. Stephanie, yes, Napa was spectacular. I'm still recovering from that Napa trip, I got to be honest. How did your Dave, how was your birthday in Hawaii?
It was spectacular. 11 people. It was good.
Those pictures make it look amazing. You did not do. I mean, you did everything.
I said I love the house. I would love to go back, but we've seen everything there is to see.
You killed it. You checked every box, every volcano, every waterfall, every ocean floor. It was amazing.
By water, land, and helicopter.
Well, happy birthday, Dave.
He says thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the truffle part of our trip to Barolo is worth the adventure too.
Did you meet? I was gonna say, tell him we went to.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Ian. Take care.
Take care, guys. You guys have a great night. See you. Cheers.